Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Just to You podcast. My name is Eric Nicole, and I'm your host. If you are a first time listener, welcome to the conversation. And if you're a regular, I'm honored that you've decided to join me for another episode. The Just to You podcast is centered around a network of conversations which are meant to connect us, to inspire us, to find our own confidence, our own voice, and to live our own truth. And who knows, we might even learn a little something new that ultimately allows us to live in the sweet spot that I like to call the Just Do You space of being. Each week, I have the privilege of sitting down for unscripted conversations with friends, family, colleagues, community leaders, and influencers that all share their own personal journeys. I hope that you enjoy our time together as much as I have. We are certainly going to laugh, and yes, we might even cry a little. But in the end, we're going to know that we're not alone during our life's journey. So, are you ready? Great, let's do this. Welcome to the conversation. All right, everyone, welcome to today's episode. I am so excited to sit down with my guest today. I'm going to jump right in and introduce everyone. But I have to say, when I met this guest on Instagram, I was immediately captivated by this. And hopefully you'll see it on YouTube with this killer smile and this radiant energy and this height and this creativity. And I went, oh, I got to know this guy. And thankfully, he's my guest today on the podcast. So I'm going to welcome everyone to Stephen Hallburn. Hi, Stephen.
Hello. That was so sweet.
You know, I say this a lot on the podcast, but I think everybody should wake up in the morning and be introduced like that.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
how great would your day be if you woke up every morning and someone, doesn't have to be a spouse, it could be a friend or someone, introduce you into the morning and introduce you to the world as to who you are. I think what a great way to start the day, right? Is it like,
yes, love that.
Yeah, you kind of wake up in the morning, you're like, oh, here's the coffee and let the dog out and you're going to get your day started and you got to roll into the day. But like, how powerful would that be? And it's really interesting to hear people's responses. The podcast was designed, we're in season 2. We're about to wrap our second season this year, which is crazy. But the podcast was designed around a network of conversations that kind of showcase people's journey to finding their space of being authentic, being truly themselves. And in a current world in which on many different levels, we're being told that's not acceptable.
Yeah.
To be able to meet somebody who is not only the epitome of this just do you concept, but who lives their life in such a way that, as I was saying to you before we jumped on, that we all have things happening. The world's a little heavy right now. But when you wake up every morning and you go out into the day and you take it on with creativity and that smile and a positive energy, that ripples. And it reflects. So today I woke up and I was like, oh, I've got to get through the day before I end up sitting down with Stephen. And that thought of sitting down with you today is really what helped propel me. So you didn't know that, but I'm going to say thank you for that right away.
Thank you. That is very sweet.
It's true.
I was not expecting that. So thank you.
Didn't think you were. So again, for our guests, I spend a lot of time flipping through Instagram. It's my morning ritual. I get up, I let the dog out, I feed her, I get my coffee, and I come back to bed and I enjoy my coffee and I sit and I flip through because I'm really looking for inspirational people. And I have to say that social media for me is really where I find these amazing stories. And I don't remember exactly how I came across your platform. I did. And like I said, I was instantly captivated by it. Number one, you're incredibly tall. How tall are you?
It looks different on camera.
Okay.
Like, I know my angles, but 5'11". I'm at the cusp. I'm at the cusp of 6 foot. Like I'm right there.
Okay, y'all, I would have said 6'4", my height. You do know your angles, baby.
I know my angles. I know my angles.
So a lot of your content on your Instagram pages, you're a dancer.
Yes.
You're also an artist. But I'm going to talk about the dancing for a second.
Yeah.
Those angles make you look 7 feet tall with legs for days and a killer smile. But I was really taken back by the content because, like I said, it's just super positive and it's super engaging. And so I was having coffee and started to watch some of your videos. And there was a consistency that I noticed that was this constant smile. And I have to remind myself these days to smile a lot and to continue to presence that joy. And so I was flipping through and I thought, God, I got to know this guy. I got to get to know him a little bit better. And I reached out to you. I'm like, I don't know you, but I think your content's pretty cool. I would love to maybe talk to you about being a guest on the Just You podcast. And you instantly said yes. It was like I hit send and you're like, yes,
Take it. Yeah.
take it. And I was like, that's so great because you have no idea how many people do not respond. It's crazy. And so I was super excited. And then we did an onboarding call and we sat down and we talked a little bit. And I think you and I probably could have talked for a couple
A lot
hours.
longer.
Right?
Definitely a
Yeah.
lot longer. Yeah.
But I kept saying to myself, I want to be really respectful of your time and also save a lot of the conversation for the podcast. So since then, you have also introduced me to your amazing partner who
Mhm.
is coming up. His episode will air next week, so I'm not going to give it
So
away.
exciting. Okay.
So we're going to share
Love
a little bit
that.
more about him next week and his amazing project. But I have to say, you too, in speaking with you separately, I've not
Mhm.
been with you in person and I've not
Yeah.
talked with you in person, but you two make quite the dynamic couple. So I am quite impressed and happy and honored to have you on today, for
Thank
sure.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's spend a little bit of time. I want to get to know you, and I want our listeners to know a little bit about your journey into this self-discovery and finding your path to just doing you. I'd like to take my guests back a little bit to their childhood. I want to know what the young Stephen was like. I have a feeling, or I should say an assumption, although
Uh-huh.
I'm not so sure if it's correct. So
Okay.
give us a little glimpse into young Stephen. Where were you born?
Okay.
Brothers and sisters, family, that kind of stuff.
All right, let's take it back. So I was born in Loma Linda, California, but I grew up in small towns. So there's Nuevo, which is like a very small ranch-ish style town, and then Hemet, which is
Hmm.
like a desert. Most people know it as like a retirement place. There's nothing to do there. It's not really poppin'. But I grew up in Nuevo and Hemet most of my life until about 17, and then I moved
Hmm.
away to go teach, or not to teach, but to dance. But okay, so I'm the youngest of six.
Wow.
Yeah, I have two sisters and four brothers. One of them whom passed away. I never knew him. He was the oldest brother. He passed away at, I believe he lived until he was six. He had only a certain part of the front of his brain was the only part that was made, or everything else was fluid. I don't know how to
Mm-hmm.
say that in a most medical way. So it wasn't fully developed. And he wasn't really supposed to live past maybe 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, he had to have 24-hour care. He lived in a care facility, but yeah, he ended up living until he was six
Wow.
and then passed away. And yeah, and then after him, with my brother Matthew, my brother Michael, and then me.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm the youngest of six. Uh, my childhood, I don't know. I always go back and forth because there's what I remember, and then there was reality. So I would make up what my sister told me, my sisters, that I would make up stories like my parents were kings and queens, and we lived in these magical kingdoms and stuff. And I would tell people these things. I would make up stories because my home life was very drastically different. So, like my mom, when I was 5 and a half, passed away from cancer.
So sorry.
And when she passed away, my dad just it broke him, to say the least. He stopped. He couldn't go further with helping us. He was there, but just he didn't give us what we needed as
Mm.
kids. So it was a very much like a broken home. Even though I had my sisters and I had my grandma, my grandpa, it was just a broken home. So I started going inward and making up these fantasy places and stuff to shelter myself. And I think that was like a defense mechanism to protect me in a way.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I would make up stories and be super creative. So I was reading and writing, and I would paint, and I made up dances before I even started dancing. So it was just like an outlet for me to be creative. And that was my creativity, quote unquote. So that was when I was really young. And then by the time I was 17, had been dancing a couple of years at this point. I started at 14, and I was moving away to a boarding school in Connecticut. to
Mm.
further my education for ballet. I got a full ride of living and dancing as well. And when I turned 18, which was in October, my dad died in November.
Oh my
And
gosh.
so we found out like a few days after Thanksgiving of my 18th birthday that he had passed away. He'd fallen asleep, and I think my sister said he had an aneurysm or something like that in his sleep. So he was really in his place of living for 3 days before anybody
Mhm.
realized that he was gone. So he'd been gone for a few days. So that in itself was a weird time for me because I was living away, I was dancing. My dad passes away. I'm in this strange place where people were comforting me because my sister had to get a hold of the school director because I wasn't picking up my phone and anything. So she had to tell him what was going on. And then once everyone knew, they were like, "Are you okay? Are you fine?" And it was in those moments, I just remember being super calm and being like, "It's normal. This is normal to me. Death happens." I was very calm headed about the whole thing. But I think what was happening to me was I was trying to grasp the fact that I didn't have a mom. Then my dad dies at 18 and I'm living away. I don't really have any connections to like parents anymore. I'm trying to figure out my own self in this like space of living by myself. And I just went inward again. So I was trying to focus on like my dancing and what I could control on the outside with my school and everything. But what that did was, and I guess I wasn't that great because they made me see a psychologist or psychologist, yeah, or a therapist from the school. They made me see somebody because I was acting too calm. Like I
Mm.
wasn't showing any emotion. I was, I started to black out in ballet class where I'd be in a combination across the floor, whatever it could have been. And I would find myself the next second coming back to myself and staring out a window. I
Mm.
didn't know how long I was doing that for. My teachers would say I would just stop doing whatever I was doing and just veer off. Like I just went someplace. And it was in that moment where I was like, oh, yeah, like it is affecting me in a way that I didn't think it would was going to. Now, mind you, my mom passes away at 5.5.
Mm.
And my grandpa, my mom's dad, passes away at when I was 10. And then my grandma, my mom's mom, passes away when I was 16. And like my grandma and my grandpa were like my
Mm.
rocks, my people. And so it was like, boom, like everyone went. Now, I didn't have a great relationship with my dad. And I had a lot of anger and resentment towards him because I felt like he wasn't giving us anything. I wasn't getting the father
Mhm.
because he physically and emotionally was just gone. He was doing his day to day, but it was like I didn't get what I thought I needed from him. And so I held a lot of resentment and anger at that time for him.
Mm.
But when he passed away, it was like, I can't really hold on to this stuff anymore. He's
Mm.
gone. And so I decided I just have to like forgive him for whatever he couldn't do and just think about the happy times that I had with him and make that more of a priority in my mind, not the negative. Because the negative, he was a hurt person. He was a broke
Mhm.
person who was just trying to make it in life. And
Mm.
I was a broke kid who was just trying to deal with the fact that I had a broken father. And I just had to deal with figuring out how that was going to look like
I think it's
at that
interesting
time.
because we all, if we really take a look at it,
Yeah.
we're all broken and we all go through the same thing. But in the moment, you feel like you're the only one.
Yeah.
As an adult, and you start to have conversations about it, and I've heard a lot of people 79 episodes in, And everyone has, and I'm not diminishing it from your
Yeah.
experience because it was your experience, but
But
it's fascinating to me that
it happens. Yeah.
we all go through this roller coaster of
Mhm.
life and have to navigate not only through it in the moment, but then navigate through it when we're adults. So I can't imagine just sitting here listening to that is pretty shocking that as a young person you went through so much loss and yet you wake up one morning or at one point say, I'm going to focus on the positive and I'm going to focus on
Mhm.
the good memories.
Yeah.
And the resilience there is pretty remarkable. That says a lot about who you are. Are you at this time when you're away at school, if you don't mind me asking, are you questioning who you are, sexuality, where do you fit in, all of that? Did that come later? Like, where is that all fitting into this rather
Yeah.
circuitous route?
It's interesting because I knew who I was since I was a kid, very young. I remember being 5 and just staring at this one guy. We were at a pool somewhere. I was with my sister's sister. I remember being with somebody. And I remember seeing this guy in yellow board shorts. And he had a furry chest. And I just remember staring at him and thinking like I liked him, but different than I when I would stare at a girl and I liked her. It was more like I was intrigued by this man, intrigued
Mm-hmm.
by his hair, and I don't know. So I just always knew. Then once you get into like middle school and people start changing and everyone has to really show who they are in a weird
Mm-hmm.
way. You can't just be who you are. You have to be straight. It's like there's no middle
Mm-hmm.
ground. And I just remember people always saying to me, because I've always been more of the effeminate type. My voice was always higher. I was always just more flamboyant. And I didn't mind that. It didn't bother me, but people would call me slurs at school. And I just remembered when that would happen, I would just be like, but I am, so what's the problem? It didn't take me down. It was just like, you're saying something I already know, and I'm okay with it. And you should be okay with it. And at that middle school aged mind, I didn't use those terms, but I never really had a time where I was struggling with my sexuality of maybe figuring out who I was. I just knew that I was gay.
Yeah.
But I do have a funny story. Side note, my grandma, when I was 12, she calls me one day out of the blue, and I'm always with her. And she goes, so I have to ask you something, and I want you to be honest with me. Okay. Are you gay? And I'm like on the phone.
What?
My whole body just went hot, and I was all, this can't be happening. Because, like, why would she ask me that? And I go, yeah. And she goes, okay, I figured I was already talking to everybody about it, but I just wanted to make sure that like it was true. So, Grandma, you can't be just telling people this and not even asking me first. She's like, I already know, Stephen. I've known since you were a kid. You just never said anything and came up to me and talked to me about it. And I thought that was the funniest thing. I was like, Granny, don't
Mhm.
do that. But it was the relationship that we had that
Yep.
she could ask me anything she wanted. I could ask her anything I wanted, and she'd be honest with me,
Mhm.
and vice versa.
I think grandmothers are like that. My dad's mom, when I told her I was much older, I was 24. And when I
Wow.
told her, I was so nervous. And she said, she's telling me something I didn't already know. And I'm like, but grandma, how did you know? And I used to see her quite often. She lives
Yeah.
here in San Diego. I lived up in LA.
Uh-huh.
And I said, how did you know? And she goes, honey, every time you came to visit me, you asked to eat on the good china and the good crystal. And she's no straight boy would ever care. And I guess it
Oh
gave
my
me away,
God.
which of course I now own all of it and it's
Yeah.
sitting in storage. But I think what's
That,
so interesting, Stephen, is you, again, such a common thread. We all know at a certain point in our life when we are different. And we don't know how to express it. We don't know how to explain it. We don't know that it's okay because we've been told that it's not, or we've heard superfluously that it's not. And our parents, God bless them, don't have there's no school or class that they go to learn how to raise an LGBTQ plus child, but there's no training. And
no.
so I think they do the best that they can. And yet I then say, That was for me almost 30 years ago. It's like, why have we not come any farther? Why have we not been a place where I could come to my mom and say, you know what, mom, I like this guy. And your guy at the pool with the furry chest and the
Mm.
was my friend's dad, who was a swimmer. Same
Oh,
thing, right? Every Friday after a football game, we were at the house and there was this guy, and I didn't understand it. I was nervous. I
yeah.
was ashamed. But when I later told that story, which it's way too long to go into now, but there's a funny story to it. But when I later told the story, they were like, why didn't you say something then? And I'm like, I don't know. I was terrified. I was so afraid of being
Yeah.
found out. And so, how great, though, that our grandparents and our elders, as I like to call them, knew all along but just were like waiting for us to come out. And not everybody is that fortunate. There are a lot of
No.
people who don't have the opportunity or don't have that kind of warm response. I want to make sure I make that point. But she sounds like a great lady. I think our grandmothers would have been good friends.
Yeah, no,
Sure.
she was amazing. She honestly was like my best friend. So like
Yeah.
when she passed away and I lost her, it was like
Yeah.
I
Oh.
think that's one of the reasons that I broke when my dad died was because it brought me back to a place where I lost someone. Even though I wasn't close to my dad, I loved him. He's my dad. I think what brought up my dissociation and my self going inward when he passed away necessarily wasn't, I would say, him.
Mm.
It was I didn't deal with the death of my grandma. I was so young with my mom that how do you even process who your mother is when you only have a couple
Yeah.
visions of what you think you remember of this person?
Mhm.
But my granny, it's no, I had her all the way until I was 16. I have so many memories, conversations, just
Mhm.
so much that I could hold on to. So when he died, it was I ran away to go to this boarding school. Once my grandma died, I was like, I want to move. And also, I needed to for my dancing. If I wanted to be something, I had to
Sure.
get out of the town that I was in. And there was no other way.
Mhm.
But I know if I'm honest with myself, I ran away because I didn't, was part of it was I ran away because I didn't want to deal with the fact that she was gone.
I can understand that.
If I'm being honest.
No, that's great.
And I didn't want to believe it for so long. Even though
Mhm.
I knew she was gone, it was the first person in my life that like really loved me and really wanted the best for me and gave me so much. Like outside of my sisters, they're wonderful. They've always done so much for me. And my best friend Lauren, and obviously Pa, my Pete, my partner. But Granny was like, that was my person. That was, who
Yeah.
your angel is. That was Granny for me. And I had a hard time dealing with that. So
Mhm.
I left. And I left for that and reasons to get better and to start my life and start my career. But yeah, that was the reason I think I broke was I was having to
Mhm.
now face it again
Mhm.
in a different person.
Yeah.
So it all collided. But going back, now we're gonna come back to this. So I never had a problem with myself and my sexuality and fitting out like who I was outside of dance. Now, when we get to dance, my
Mm.
that's where I was like, I was fighting because I was told every day that I had a different body. I didn't have a ballet body. I didn't have the lines and the proportions and the abilities that you would associate with ballet dancer or that would be considered that would help you get professional or be in the world of ballet.
So pause there for a second
Yes.
because teach me because I'm
Okay.
I'm confused. So
Mhm.
obviously you're almost 6 feet. You're incredibly handsome. You are physically fit. What's not the ballet body? Tell the novice what does that mean?
Okay.
Help me understand that because I don't get it.
Of course. So in ballet, your body is your instrument. we create lines in
Okay.
different ways. So when you look at a dancer, they have to have, obviously now it's changing, you're different bodies. Nobody has
Hmm.
the perfect body, but at that time when I
Hmm.
started, it was still very much you have to have a shaped foot, very arched foot. So, something that really points at the top of
Hmm.
the arch. Straight legs or hyperextended legs were a plus. Flexibility, turnout. So,
Hmm.
flexibility and openness in your hips to make a really nice flat position with your legs and feet. And I don't have any of those. I have bent knees, just naturally have bent legs. I've gotten them straighter as I've gotten older from dancing. But when I first started it, I had bent knees. I had harsh arches that didn't bend. So my foot really didn't give a beautiful line. I wasn't flexible and I had a very tight back. So I had no arabesque. And I wish I could like give you pictures. It's hard to tell.
But how did that make you feel when you were going to do something that you
Yeah.
obviously love and that you wanted to do and you're told those things? What's going through your head? Because someone's in that moment telling you that you're not potentially able to be who you want to be. How does that make you feel? Where does that leave you? Or where
At
did that
that,
leave you personally? Not,
personally, at that time, I was so stubborn and so focused on what I was going to be that I had the resilience to be like, you're not going to tell me what I'm not going to be. Like,
mhm,
I'm going to be this thing. I've known since I was 4, 5 that I was going to be a dancer. I didn't know how I was going to be one, but I knew that was my life's purpose was to dance and to create art. And so I think that just the sheer resilience, and I was prideful and I was stubborn and I told myself there is no other choice. Like you go away to school, you have to make it. Like there is no plan B. Like this is what you're going to do. And I told myself that every day because I was like, I'm not going back to my small town. I'm not going back to having no life. This is my life. Where I am right now, this is my life. And this is going to be my life. And no one's going to tell me different. But again, I think if I didn't have that, I would have crumbled
mhm.
quicker. Now, them saying what they said did affect me subconsciously, but I was so guarded and focused for so many years that I pushed it and
Mhm.
compartmentalized it. And then it started coming out later in my life.
Okay. Before you get there, because I know we're
Mhm.
going there, so I have a
Yeah.
question.
Okay.
So, how does it make you feel? What are the emotions that you feel when you're dancing? Tell me what that's like.
The good analogy is I feel free.
Mm.
I guess free of everything, free of anger, free of resentment, free of everything. I guess you could say I feel bliss if I could put bliss into something. And even on a bad day, there's something, it could be a bad day, but I still feel bliss when I'm really dancing. I just think too, it's, I'm fulfilling my purpose. My purpose is to dance and to create and to use my body. And I am a vessel for my source, for higher power. And it's when I'm dancing, I just, I don't know how to explain it more than bliss,
Mhm.
freeness, freedom. Even if I'm tired or I'm having a bad day or whatever it could have been, I'm still at I'm still at
Mhm.
that bliss feeling. I'm still that freedom. I guess that's what it would be for me.
Is there, 'cause I see this because I love dance. I am not a dancer by any stretch of the imagination, but I love dance. I love dance. I love watching ballet and just, all kinds of dance. There's a power in it for you. So you know what I mean? Like when I
Yeah.
watch you, there's a powerfulness in it. And it's maybe it's, what's the word I want to use? A presence, a
Mm.
posture. And I
Thank
don't
you.
mean the
Yeah,
best
yeah,
posture. There's a posture to your
yeah, yeah.
dance.
I understand.
And I've been watching a couple different dancers on social media, and to me, it's just, I get the freedom, I get the bliss, it's joyful, but the empowerment that I see in people's dancing and what it's doing for other people. A little bit different example because it's not
Yeah.
dance, but I am right this moment obsessed with Ray, the singer.
Love her.
Obsessed, obsessed.
So
And
good.
I particularly like her Where the Hell's My Husband song because
Yeah,
it means a
I
lot to
know.
me right now.
I was just listening to that in
Yeah.
the car earlier
Yeah.
today.
It's on autoplay in my house because it's
Yeah.
just it's my mantra right now. Where the hell's my husband? But I'm watching some of these dancers that I like to watch on Instagram using that song, and watching them dance gives me not only joy and not only that bliss, but it also gives me that empowerment
Yeah.
because it's expression in a way that doesn't require words. It doesn't require some definition or description. They're just dancing. And there are some amazing dancers out there, right? That are just
Mhm.
really inspiring. So I was just curious kind of what you felt and what words you were going to come up with. I see the bliss for sure
Yeah,
because you can see it in your dance. You also are an artist. You also paint.
I do.
And I love watching your painting content because you just paint. At
I
least
do.
that's what we see. There's no
I
pretense
know.
about it. There's no, this is going to be hanging in the Guggenheim, even if
Yeah.
it could. I love watching your content when you're like, I've created a new piece and you show it. The pride that you have in that piece that you have created is more about your journey and your pride and how you feel about the piece than anybody that's watching it. We all could like it. We could maybe not understand it. We could maybe love it, but it's you and your expression that the world's seeing. And that's
Yeah.
what I love about it. So I have a friend who teaches painting class, and I went to one of his classes, and they did this pour technique where they poured levels of different paint colors in a cup, and then you basically dump the paint and you adjust the canvas and you're using
Yeah.
acrylics and it creates this thing.
Yeah.
And I realized in that moment, I've always known this about myself, but I realized in that 2.5 hours that I was there is that I'm a perfectionist beyond compare. And that painting had to be perfect, where everybody else was just messing with it and playing with it. And mine had to be perfect.
Yeah.
The second time was this real sense of expression. I didn't care what anyone thought. I didn't care how it looked. It was just me getting this out onto the paper. Creative career, but not really. Like, really, it's not my full expression. And so to be able to watch people enjoy that within themselves is really cool. What's the process for you when you paint? Do you have an idea of what you're going to paint when you sit down, or do you just create from the cuff? What's that process for you? And second question to that first
Uh-huh.
question, is it a different process than the dance, the
Ah,
creativity? Curious if it's different.
okay. That's a good one. Cool. So when I'm a visual person
Okay.
with dancing visual, music visual. So it goes into my painting is visual. If I can visualize something before I've painted before I've painted it, then I know my what I'm going to do. If I can't visualize something, that's when I get stumped, and then it takes me longer to build on something that I'm doing.
Okay.
As so yeah, my process for painting is I visualize it first, or an idea, or it could be like a tree branch or a grain of sand, or it literally could be anything, and it will spark a whole like music video in my head of what I wanted to see, what I wanted to
Mhm.
see with it. Now with my dancing, it's different, I think, because at least with ballet, because we have such it's a regimented, we have the same kind of thing build up in class. We have bar and then we have center. The combinations can be different, but they're either a tendu or a dégagé or renajam. There's a sequence to it. And I think now that I'm saying it, I think that I use that buildup in my painting. I guess you could say there's steps. Look at me just having this epiphany. Yeah, I have steps. So I guess
Yeah.
it does correlate somewhat. It's definitely different for dance than for painting. I feel for painting, I'm a little more free because I can create anything. It can be as hideous as I want it to be. It can be as beautiful as I want it to be.
Mm.
And I don't have anyone telling me that it should look either or. And ballet with dancing, depending on the choreography or what you're
Yeah.
doing, you do have that.
Yeah. Yeah. My listeners would be super mad if I didn't circle back because I took us off course. So I'm going to circle back for a second
Okay. Okay.
because this is
Yes.
important. It just popped into my head. See, I was like, oop, I derailed us and I'm pulling us back. So you're told you don't have the lines, you don't have the feet, you don't have the legs, you don't all of that. So they're
Yes.
telling you what you don't have. You have this resilience where you're like, I'm going to do it. It's my only choice. There's no plan B. What was that next step? How did that go? And how did you end up pushing past those barriers of what people were telling you you could not do or you did not have to where you are dancing now? What was that journey?
It's interesting because as resilient and as focused as I was, I made it happen, but I, again, I guess compartmentalized a lot. So anything negative, I just didn't have time for in my
Mhm.
mind. At the same time, I was very harshly critical on myself, overly critical. I didn't allow myself to enjoy what I was doing for a
Mm.
very long time, even though I felt free doing what I was doing. It's this weird, I was unhappy with the fact that I wasn't what my teachers and what other people look like.
Mhm.
But I wasn't going to allow myself to stop doing the thing that made me the most happy
Sure.
and living in my purpose. And at the same time, I was extremely negative and hard and critical on myself to the point where I physically and emotionally couldn't enjoy what I was doing. And this is not just a couple years. This is like from school up until 3 years ago. And 3 years ago is when I really made a change for myself. And so it was a very long time of having this weird up and down battle with myself. Yeah, I just had a lot of resilience. I knew that if I looked at myself in the mirror, I wasn't gonna like what I saw. So I
Mm.
decided not to look in mirrors. I didn't like people taking photos of me or videos of me because I didn't want to see what I looked like outside of what I saw here, outside of what I saw in my mind. Because
Mhm.
I knew if that happened, it would break me. Because I, in essence, believed everything that my
Mhm.
teachers and others said about me, but I wouldn't allow myself to physically see it. And if I couldn't physically see it, it wasn't real. And so again, it was a way to for me to protect myself and
Mhm.
to get through what I needed to get through with my schooling and to do the thing that I love to do and that it was my purpose. It was my source purpose to do. So
Many people would walk.
yeah,
Many people would give up.
yeah.
Prime example, I remember I wanted to do when I was in college, I wanted to do print modeling.
Mhm.
And I was really excited. I don't remember where it was or how it came up, but I remember them saying, "You'll never get hired because you're too tall."
That's so interesting.
Very tall in high school. And I
Hmm.
remember, Stephen, making the decision that I hate being tall, hated it in that moment. I made everything about being tall wrong for most of my life. And
Wow.
I didn't realize that until a couple months ago, really realize it when it came up in conversation about people being told that they can't be who they want to be because of X, Y, and Z. And I remembered that moment. And I wanted to be an architect and an interior designer, but I'm colorblind. Told, oh, you could never do that because you can't see color. No, that's not true, but I believed that. So many things that I wanted to do and that I really felt were a passion for me when I was younger, I didn't do because people told me I couldn't do it. And if you look at modeling now, there is every shape, size, color,
Everyone. Yep.
everybody,
Yeah.
everybody. Interior designers, that's what teams are for, right?
Yeah,
So I can't pick color. You find a great colorist. So
exactly.
I don't regret it because I made an amazing choice and I was able to have my creativity and the work that I do in
Mhm.
creating and producing events all over the world for the past 25 years. So I didn't end up a call center person. No, there's
Yeah,
nothing wrong with that, but I didn't take that drastic of a route.
yeah,
But it's interesting when I listen to you because a lot of people would say, I've been told this, that, the other, and there must be something wrong with me. And so I'm just going to go do something else. And that's the part that pains me the most for so many kids and so many young people is because we just don't allow ourselves to grow into who we are.
Mhm.
And we then have to unpack it in our 30s, 40s, and 50s and 60s and go to therapy over it because we believe the things that people said. And I'm looking at the current situation that we're in now, and I worry that there are going to be a lot of young people that are out in school, elementary school, high school, listening to a lot of the conversations that are happening and choose to walk away rather than to have that resilience and face that conversation and move forward. So I think your story is super powerful and will resonate with a lot of people, especially those with kids, because we have to support our young people
Yeah,
in finding themselves and to realizing who they are because they're beautiful, right?
yeah,
They're unique. And you talk about source and higher power. Some people will call it God, but we were put here
yeah,
on earth for a reason. We
yep,
were put here to be of service to others. We were put here to be good stewards of love and compassion and kindness and all of those things. And in a time where it's difficult to do that, even I at 59 next month
yeah,
want to stop at sometimes and just because it's a lot of effort. And then I remind myself, nope, I can't stop. I have to be this steward of kindness and love and generosity and compassion and caring. And that's why I continue on with this podcast because I know that there are people out listening to these episodes. They're going to listen to your episode and either see themselves or see their child or their friends or someone that they know in that same circumstance and realize that it's just time that we're able to just be ourselves and live our life. And
yeah,
when you look at you now, is after all that they said you couldn't do it and it couldn't be this, it couldn't be that, and I get the resilience part and all that, but you're dancing and you're existing and painting in your bliss. And what you're doing and how it's showing up to the world is, excuse my French, I don't give a F what you think. This is me. And you're also partnered with somebody who has had a remarkable journey to find themselves and are now writing books about it, which we will talk about this week on the episode. And when I think of the two of you together, I'm just like, holy crap, like what a journey independently and now together that can make such a difference in the lives of even couples that are going to watch both. Because I've had the privilege and the joy of listening to you separately and getting to know you separately. But
yeah.
knowing what I know about both of you and how you feel about each other is super powerful as well. Sorry for my rant, but I just had to get that out because it's super
No rant
important.
at all.
It's super important because I have a friend who's struggling with their child at the moment, and this child is expressing themselves so deeply, and they just don't know necessarily how to navigate it all. And they were asking me if I had a resource of who they could talk to. And I made a couple suggestions to them and how to deal and how to navigate this conversation with this absolutely beautiful, brilliant child who is going to be a change maker in this world. I can feel it already, I can see it. And they had no idea where to go.
Mm,
So conversations like this are super important. I want to go back to a couple things that we've
yes.
touched on.
Yeah.
So when you're dancing now, and I'm sure it does, but does it pop up every now and again, imposter syndrome for you? Or is it just, have you just now resigned yourself to the fact that this is who you are and that doesn't even pop into play? I'm just curious if it ever
Oh
rears its
gosh.
head.
No, it still creeps in. I don't think it'll ever really go away. It's just what I choose for it to be. So I know now that I held on for many years to what people's beliefs and opinions of what they thought I could or could not do. But now it's more, I think I'm just happier with myself. So it doesn't matter to me anymore. I have to tell myself that a lot because obviously when I'm in class and I'm in rehearsals, you're never going to be good every single day. You're going to have
No.
off days. You're again with a bunch of peers who have beautiful bodies to what you think is beautiful. And you have that comparison of, gosh, I don't have that, or I wish I had that. But I have to really be present every day. And every day I'm in class and rehearsal and be like, I am beautiful the way I dance and how I look. And because I think for years, people would always tell me, like, are you having a great time? Are you having fun? Are you enjoying? Did you have a great time performing? And I always said yes. And I shined on stage. But what I was giving on the outside was just defeatedness. It seemed very insecure and just not happy. But inside, I could be doing whatever it could have been ballet wise and happy because I was dancing. And I didn't correlate that I had to project that
Mm-hmm.
outwards because I was so used to projecting it or taking it inward. That was my safe space.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was showing on the outside was not what I felt like in the inside. So when I realized that, I had to start dancing from the inside. I had to
Mm-hmm.
show that excitement and that place that I feel in my heart. I had to project that out. And when
Mm-hmm.
I started doing that, I started getting a lot of people telling me, wow, you look so happy. Wow, you dance so beautiful, like your
Mm-hmm.
presence and all these different things. And I'm like, but I've been doing that for so long. What's different now? And it was the fact that I really went inside myself and showed what was there and projected it out. And I didn't do that for so many years because I was
Mm-hmm.
battling. And I still battle now, but the voices are a little bit softer. They're
Mm-hmm.
quieter most times. And if I feel like I'm going down that rabbit hole, I just go, it's not that serious. It's not that serious. Dancing, I'm literally dancing around in tights. I have to
Mm-hmm.
put it in that way for myself because if I don't, I take it so seriously that it ruins me because I can't obtain that perfectionism, that
Mm-hmm.
perfect anything. And so I have to tell myself, I am a boy in tights dancing around. And it makes it lighter. It makes it easier
Mm-hmm.
for me. And it makes me come back to myself. Yeah,
It's
I would say
interesting,
that.
Stephen, because I think we all, whether you'll admit it or not, you, Stephen, but y'all
Yes.
will ever admit it, we
Yeah.
are very hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
And we make ourselves sometimes our circumstances. And who we are not
Yeah.
are our circumstances,
Yeah.
right? Who Stephen is in the world is not his circumstances. You were not your past. You were not that journey that you took. You were not the loss of those people that you loved. Who you are is this beautiful soul who is out changing the world with their crafts and just being who they are. And if that is who you are meant to be by this source and higher power, is
Mhm.
showing people that they just need to go and dance, whatever that meant
Yeah.
for them, then you're doing the right thing. And I think I can relate. I can totally relate because I am incredibly critical of myself as well. I've been doing this career for almost 30 years now, and I'm coming
Mhm.
to the end of this career. And with the podcast, it was a 2 year procrastination of every reason and excuse not to do it.
Yeah.
People weren't going to listen, and I wasn't going to be a good host, and all
Mhm.
of those things. Would it
What do
resonate?
I have to say?
What do I
And
have to say? And are
yeah.
people going to care? And how many clicks and how many downloads and how
Yeah.
many of this? And it's a constant
Yeah.
reminder because people will pop in to your DMs, as the kids say these days, or slide into your DMs and just make these comments. And it's interesting to watch.
Yeah.
But I know that if one person listens to this episode with you and it makes a difference for them, that we've accomplished what we set out to accomplish.
Yeah.
It's not about 1,000 downloads or 25,000 likes. It's about the content and the impact
The
that it's
content.
making.
Yeah.
And you're doing that, right? I will tell you a little funny because I think I like to bring a little levity sometimes to
Yeah.
conversations. And I
Do
know
it.
it's easier for someone to say this than for you to experience it. When you look
Uh-huh.
at yourself and you're having those conversations, I have this small little group of friends that I share a lot about the guests that I'm having on podcasts, and I will show Instagram and photos and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
And I showed your content to a friend of mine. She said a few expletives, number one, and she's, oh my God, this guy is gorgeous and stunning. And she would not stop talking about you. And she was just, and she's look at, and he's just so lean and so beautiful. And it was just fun to hear someone else say that. But it's then
yeah.
really interesting to hear you say the things that you say because we don't see ourselves as others see us sometimes
Mhm.
because we are that harsh critic. And I sometimes feel just like the intro earlier is that we need to really listen to what people are saying about us.
Yeah.
And I struggle with that too. In fact, I just had a session with my coach about it 2 days ago. I was like, I don't know how people can say that when I don't feel that. Like, how is that? Like, where's the disconnect? And we're in the process. I didn't want a quick answer. I didn't want to find out. I didn't want him to tell me what the answer was.
Yeah.
I need to experience that for myself, just like you do as well. We need to unpack what we've been told and what we've been taught and learn how to turn that.
Yeah.
And the people that are saying it to us and the people that are sharing their love and their excitement and their, what's the word I want to use, their willingness to spend time with us, whether it's you and your dancing or your painting and me and the
Yeah.
podcast and other things, is that we have to listen to them and we have to take that in. That's just the reality. That what we've created is not the reality. It's the story at which we've created the reality, but it's not true. It's not
Exactly.
true. And again, easier said than done. And if that takes us our lifetime to figure that out, then it does. But I don't say this condescendingly, but I'm super proud of you for having this ability to push through life and to push past people's comments about you and about what you have and what you don't have to come to a place where you can simply get up and do what you love to do. And you've turned it into something that for you is bliss. And for others, it's going to give them whatever experience that it gives them, but it's
Yeah.
going to ripple. It's going to ripple. And I said the same thing to your partner, Peter, about his book. It's going to ripple.
I love it.
It's going to ripple. And everything that we do ripples. And where I think we can become better to ourselves is to just let that all in
Yeah.
because it's called just doing you, not to use a pun of my podcast, but
Yeah.
just
One
to
second.
do you. It's just
Oh,
to do you.
thank you.
So I have a
Appreciate it.
couple last questions for you because I could talk to you all day, like I did the other day.
Let's do
Let's do it.
it.
I can imagine you and Peter getting together for dinner or coffee is going to be a very long experience, but I can't wait for that
Yeah.
to happen. What's next for you? What's on the horizon for
What's
Stephen?
on the horizon? Okay, so I'm choreographing for
Hmm.
my company. We're doing crafted, so it's local choreographers within the company, and it's going to be the opening of our season. So this
Hmm.
starts, I think the performances are the 25th and 26th, so that Saturday, Sunday. I think
Hmm.
that's a Saturday, Sunday. And I've choreographed a lot for the schools that I've taught at. I choreograph for kids, but this will be the first time that I choreograph to peers,
Hmm.
on peers. And it's the choreography is the abstract version and what I saw or I see in my mind of my struggles. Kind of what I'm talking to you about with
Hmm.
resilience, but also the self-deprecating negativity on my own self. But then the I'm gonna make it no matter what, the
Hmm.
constant, I'm creating that into a piece,
Hmm.
which I'm really nervous about. I'm really excited. I It's just a big change for me. I'm really putting myself out there. And I think I have to, because if I really want to grow and make something happen for myself, to that next step, like this is my next step. And then I really want to get my art going. And obviously the goal would be I would love to be doing galleries and have my work being seen and resonated with people. That would be a
Hmm.
wonderful thing.
Yeah.
So it's just, and I also have the feeling that it's going to be just like with dance. I had this inherent feeling the second that I knew I wanted to be a dancer. I literally could see my entire future. I just knew there was nothing else was going to stop me. And when I started painting again, I knew I needed to do something creative outside of dance. And when I started painting, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm having the same feeling
Mm,
with my painting. Even if just started again, I'm having the same just gut feeling that something as big is going to happen.
mm,
And I just have to be going on the ride again. It's like
mhm,
starting over like I did with my dancing. It's all the school and then you get professional and then, everything in between. It's the same thing, but now I'm doing with my art. I'm creating with my hands, not my body, but it's the same. I'm still creating it and feeling the source that is telling me like you need to do this. Those are the next steps for me is doing this piece, pushing myself, pushing through the fear and the everything that comes along with that and working on my art and just showing my process for my pieces that I do already and having fun with it because for a long time, I didn't show people anything. I didn't show myself anything. And so now I'm like, I'm actually really happy when I create something because it makes me feel happy.
mm.
So I'm like, if it makes me feel happy, I post it.
Yeah.
And I have stuff I haven't posted that make me feel happy, but it's just, I just know that if I'm happy about it, people are going to see it.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where I am. If I feel even iffy about something, no one's going to see it. I just know that. But if I have an inkling that
Yeah.
something comes out of me that is what I think magic is, it's going to be seen. And 9 times out of 10, I'm always hitting the nail on the head. And I still
Mm,
get surprised every time people comment and write to me about my painting or my art, or I sold my first piece of art to a really awesome guy who also found me on Instagram. I'm like, I
mhm.
love your work. I love like your artistry and everything. And he bought one of my pieces. And so just in that, it made me realize, okay, I'm on the right path. If
Yeah.
somebody's so early on in what I'm doing and random people I've never met, these strangers to me, really through social media, can write to me and be like, I love your art. I know I'm on the right path.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so cool. I love it. If
Thank
you
you.
could give one piece of advice to a young person that's maybe sitting at home and wanting to do something like dance or art or singing or theater, and that's being maybe told that they don't have what it takes, or they're too young or too tall or too short or too fat or whatever the case may be, what would be your piece of advice to them?
My piece of advice would be, does it make you feel something? Do you feel happy when you think about that thing? Do you feel excitement of possibility, even if you can't render what those words are? If you can't render what the emotion is that you're feeling when you think about dancing or painting or Broadway or whatever it might be, if it really hits you with sheer excitement and love and just anything that is powerful, you have to do it. Even if someone tells you maybe they think that you can't do it, that you don't probably, that you shouldn't do it, I think if you feel something about whatever it might be, do it because your gut is always right. Your gut instinct literally tells you and guides you on what you should do. And I think I wish that I would have told myself that during the times that I felt most down. You, your gut told you, Stephen, this is what you should do, and you need to be happy because you feel happy doing it. I wish I would have told these things or had the knowledge or had the understanding in myself when I was a little bit younger. Because now I do that constantly. and I have to. It's like a regimen, and it makes me happy. And it's projecting to people I don't even know. So that, and right there tells me that's what I should have been doing all along. And I think to anyone watching, that's what you should do. You follow your gut, you follow that instinct, that feeling, and you don't let it go,
Yeah.
no matter what.
And I'm a big firm believer in timing
Yeah.
and divine intervention, because we can say that the minute you declare something in your life, doesn't matter what age you are. I always believe this. The minute you declare something, the universe aligns with that goal.
Yep.
And what happens is that the universe then tests you every step of the way,
My
because
God.
it aligns you with that goal and it's a clear path
All the
straight
time.
ahead.
All
And
the
then
time.
it's gonna throw you everything it can to
Yeah.
take you off course. And some people will fall off course and some people won't. Some people come back to it. So I look at it similarly and say that yes, you could have told yourself that,
Yeah.
but would you have been ready to hear it? So
No.
perhaps the universe worked in the way that it worked, because
It
look at you
did.
now.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other podcast episode.
Other
I
one.
do I do hope you'll come back. I have one last question for you before we
Yes.
wrap it up. I love today. Thank you. I needed this. I loved our time together. Thank you for
I
sharing
loved
your
it too.
journey and for sharing your experiences. I think you were a remarkable human being. So I can't wait to see what's next for you. So you have an open invitation to always come back. But
Thank you.
you're welcome. My last question is this. If you could go back to that 5, 6-year-old Stephen, what would you tell him about his life today?
Oh, geez. Oh, gosh. I would tell him you're exactly where you're supposed to be. And you never need to doubt or underestimate yourself. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell.
The perfect way to end the conversation. I, again, thank you for being here. Thank you for spending some time with me. Okay. We're going to make sure
Well,
that everybody can follow you on Instagram.
yes, thank you.
Anything you
Ballet
want to
with
share with it?
Stephen.
Ballet with Stephen. Make sure
Stephen.
we're going to make sure that we actually get it up on our social media when we launch your episode in a couple of weeks. But again, thanks
Oh,
for
I'm
being
so
here,
excited.
Stephen. You're a
Thank you.
delight, and keep
Okay, I
dancing.
gotta
And
tell you though, I gotta
yeah,
tell you,
tell me.
you're my first podcast. I've never done this before, so thanks
You
for
were,
having me.
of course, and you're amazing, and you're always welcome back.
See?
So, on that note, please come back. Thanks for being here, and we'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Okay,
All right. Bye, love.
bye.
All right, everyone. Thank you again for joining us on today's episode. I hope our conversation resonated with you like it did me, and I cannot wait to sit down with you all again next week. Remember to subscribe to the Just You podcast on your favorite platform so you can make sure not to miss a new episode, which drop every Thursday. If you like what you hear, you can easily share the podcast and episode directly with your friends. And if you would, rate us and leave us a review. We'd love to hear from you. You can also follow us on Instagram at JustDoYouPod. As you go out into the world today, remember to just do you. All right, talk next week.